So the 2019 APL Problem Solving Competition. Mind you, again, we don't call it a programming competition because we're about solving problems, not writing programs, right? And so this year's contest, it's our 11th year. We started in 2009 in Princeton, New Jersey. It was our first award ceremony, and hopefully we'll find out where next year's, where our 12th edition will be next year. So phase one consisted of solving 10 one-liner problems. So they were problems that could be solved fairly easily in one line of APL code. And then phase two consisted of 3 groups each of easy, medium, and difficult problems, and they covered a wide variety of domains. So we wanted to make sure that we showed that APL was good for problem solving across not just math or finance, but across quite a wide variety of domains. And oh yeah, we built and hosted the website ourselves. And a few years ago, GitHub made a comment about eating our own dog food, and I thought that must be a Danish concept or something. And so I Googled it, and what dogfooding means is using your own products. And so everything in here that's red is something we've built something we've built within Dyalog. So we used MiServer. We used HttpCommand for remote service integration. We used a new class I wrote called SMTP that integrates, that allows you to send emails from APL easily. We used the Dyalog crypto library so that we could store hashed passwords in the database. Almost all of these, MiServer, HttpCommand, and SMTP, use Conga. So Bjorn is critical to having this stuff run. We used Dr. A, which is a utility that not a lot of people have heard of, but it's an error logging utility that I think Morton wrote, sort of as if you remember Dr. Watson on an IBM PC way back when, this is sort of an answer to that from the APL side. We use SQAPL for our database access. And then we also are using Try It Online to do instant validation of the phase one entries. And I have to thank Adam here for being instrumental in getting Dyalog APL, 3 flavors of Dyalog APL supported on Try It Online. And then of course we use Git and GitHub for our source code management. We use Docker containers. We use Jenkins to do our continuous integration. We use Rancher to help deploy the website. And then we use HAProxy for HTTPS, which means that MiServer can run HTTP, but we have an HTTP link, HTTPS, a secure link in front of it so that everything from the user's session to our site is secure, but internally we don't have to run HTTPS. So we've been talking about a lot of these things for a number of years now, and we're putting them together, combining them to produce something that works. So we start with the team. And this was a group of us within Dyalog that got together when I was in Bramley, and we discussed how we were going to do this website. And then we wanted to provide a nice experience for our competitor. So about 20 minutes after the meeting, Jason walks over to me and he says, okay, well, I've built you a set of containers for MiServer, and I've built you a database container, and I've also given you permanent storage to put things when the containers are recycled. Okay, well then if I've got a MySQL database, I need SQAPL to talk to it. And then I need Dyalog cryptographic library to hash those passwords, because you don't want to store passwords in plain text. And then we have HttpCommand to access Try It Online, and also reCAPTCHA so that we can try and filter out some of those nasty robots and bots out there and have well-validated users. And then we've got HAProxy in here that basically makes sure that the user's got a secure session, but on the other side we can run HTTP itself. We use Dr. A, so if an error happens to occur in the website, it logs a log file to permanent storage. And we also have our SMTP utility to send the user emails reminding him what to do when he forgets his password and needs to reset it. Then for phase 2, we asked them to upload a file, a script file. And so we needed to have an upload capability from MiServer into permanent storage. Finally, Jason put together another Docker container that basically just watches the directory where the log files are placed. And when one of them shows up, it sends the team an email saying, hey, something may have gone wrong. So, and then all of this was contained and managed by Jenkins and Rancher, so that whenever we made a change to the repository, the GitHub repository, Jenkins would fire in, and it would check out the containers, update MiServer, build the Docker image, test the website. If the website tests, it would publish the Docker image, deploy it with Rancher, and then clean up anything that needed to be cleaned up. So anytime one of us made a commit to the contest website, this would all happen instantly. And so one of the challenges was that once the website was live, we didn't want it recycling in the middle of the day, so we tried to push our updates to a window in the evening when there'd be little or no use. So I thought I'd present some statistics. Well, this is the number of registrations by day into the contest. So the contest started here on day 1, and on day 10, student competitions sent out their email blitz. And you can see the spike here. And then we had a few more registrations, and then as we were getting close to the contest deadline, we saw another spike in registrations. So we had 478 phase 1 solutions were submitted. So we had 10 problems. So if you do the math, it's about 48 solutions per problem. 68 people had at least one passing phase 1 entry. 25 people submitted for phase 2. 13 of those were students, of which 13 students and 6 non-students met the qualification to qualify for a prize. We had 858 registered users from 89 countries, and 252 of those didn't list a country. So these are the number of registrants from that are number of countries, or the countries that had 10 or more registrants. So you can see that there's some untapped APL market in Nigeria that we need to go after. So, okay, actually what I'd like to do very briefly is to show you the site. So this is the site. It's actually live now, but don't all go out to it at once. Not that we can't handle it, but it might slow things down a little bit. But so what we have is we keep track of if you solved a problem and you covered all of the test cases, including the edge cases, you get a gold trophy. Otherwise, you get a silver trophy if you just handle the basic tests. But you can click on any problem, read the problem description. We give hints. We're trying to make it easier for people to learn APL. So we give hints about what APL operators or functions might be useful to solve this problem. And then down here, we have a language bar with keystroke help. And if you click on it, it copies it to the input area. Then over here, if you say test, or if you click test, it'll send what you typed in off to try it online. It'll get validated. If it passes the test, it'll give you a nice warm fuzzy message. And then it'll keep track of what you've done. At the point when you're happy with your solution, you can go and submit it, and then we'll log it into the database. But up until this point, until you submit something, you're completely anonymous. Everything is local on your computer, so there's very low intrusion into the user's space until he decides to actually submit something. So some reactions from our participants. I actually, when I was reviewing this, I realized I had a lot of reactions, so I've highlighted in red what I thought were some of the important phrases. So here's a 17-year-old that now uses APL as his everyday calculator, much like I'm sure a lot of us do. And all these slides, by the way, will be available online. So if I skip through them too quickly for you to read, but I like that the competition site is robust and well designed, and somebody would like to get into APL, of course. Now, I don't know whether these contestants are sucking up, right, because they know we're going to be reading these things, but I'm hoping that these are candid and honest opinions. So this is the one that I'm most impressed with. I am 14 years old, and this is my 3rd year in the competition. And this particular individual is one of the, I think he placed 3rd in a previous competition at the age of 11 or 12. So, and it helped me gain new information and change how I think about change how I think when I write computer code. 17-year-old high school student. So, and then somebody was very appreciative because they had computer problems that they could use TIO, try it online, for a lot of the competition. So, and again, I found APL to be an excellent way to test and stretch my skills, and I will certainly be continuing my studies into APL. So, one of the things that, this is the sampling of the responses, one of the things that I saw fairly consistently was, people were enthusiastic and wanted to continue with APL. And so having a mentor program like Diane suggested would be an excellent way to help foster those efforts. So we can't run this competition without help. And so I'd like to make sure that we thank a number of people and entities. So, MiServer and SimCorp and our anonymous sponsors have been supporting us for these 11 years, and we can't do it without your support, and we greatly appreciate it. I'd like to thank Alva, last year's winner, and Richard Park for contributing some of the phase 2 problems. The problems that people solved, they didn't give me problems that I had to fix. So, just to be clear. Michael and Adam and Richard for the work you did on creating the website. Jason Rivers for his continuous integration wizardry. It's amazing, like I said, 20 minutes after our meeting, he says, okay, here's a framework you can start developing in, and it's really that easy. And then Fiona, I know you don't like to be recognized, but I'm going to do it anyhow because you are the glue that holds us together and keeps us moving. So I really appreciate all that you do. So now the winners. In 3rd place, Douglas Patz. He's our 14-year-old. So he placed 3rd again this year. In 2nd place in the student competition, we have Rasmus Presinth from Uppsala. So this is I guess he's one of your recruits, Alva. Okay, great. So do you get a referral bonus for having referred him? All right. Way to go. And then I'd like to invite Gitta, our managing director, up here to as I announce the other 2 winners. Okay.
Thank you, Brian. Yeah, you're probably wondering why it's me this year and not one of our sponsors. Well, Dyalog has actually been the biggest sponsor of this competition during all the years. Our sponsors pay the out-of-pocket expenses for us, but there's a bunch of time going down here. It's not easy to formulate these problems in a way that they are consistent, and even though Brian spends a lot of effort together with the other guys in trying to get it right, there's still these students who find inconsistencies and little tweaks, so we have to submit updates to the questions. I think you had a sense of that the other night when you were doing the fun and game APL team contest. here that some of the questions were, we could find lots of problems with them, let me put it that way.
I feel their pain.
Yes, exactly. So it's a lot of work for Dyalog, both the preparation for the competition and also the judging afterwards. There's a whole bunch of work going down there. But why do we do it? We feel it's very important to get APL out there. And APL is basically a way of thinking about solving problems, and then an easy way to tell the computer how to solve these problems. But there's another aspect of that that I was reminded about this morning when we had the forum of the young people. When I started APL, I fell immediately in love with it. It was a course I was retrained from a biologist to doing IT. There was a demand for people that knew about that back then. And I could solve problems, and I could tell the computer how to solve the problems, but I couldn't write an application. And as you've seen, Brian showed you the architecture of how today all the disciplines you have to master to get a website up and running and talk to people securely. There's a whole bunch of stuff that's nothing to do with solving the problem. It's simply skills, competence. And to be able to distribute your solutions to other people, there's a whole bunch of other stuff you need to know. And you need mentors, and you need maybe even some software engineers to help you. So this is why we invite the winners to this user meeting, because not only do you need to have a sharp head to win the competition, but if you want to make APL a career, you also need mentors, you need people to help you to actually get to where you are a proficient APL solution developer. So this is why we invite you here to enjoy the network, to start your network, for the sponsors to meet you to see if you might be a future candidate for employment, and make good use of it. Before I introduce the winner of the student competition, let me just introduce the professional winner. Torben, would you please come up? Congratulations. There's something for the wall of your office.
Thank you.
Do you want to?
So I'm truly honored, and it's really comforting to know that I'm not the only non-student participant in this competition. I was not so sure about that, what it means to be first place here. But I saw on your slide there were some other guys, so that were good. I don't know. That's fine. The infrastructure and the website didn't fail on me a single time, no single hiccup. I really enjoyed that. The puzzles were clever. It made me feel clever when I solved some of them. It was just a fun time. I'm an APL novice for sure, but I'm hoping to stay with the language for a little longer. Excellent. So thank you so much for this opportunity and the invitation. I enjoyed every minute of it. Thank you.
Thank you.
And finally, for our grand prize winner, Jamin Wu. Congratulations. And Jamin, oh, you don't go away.
He's going to get his computer.
Jamin will now tell us his way through the competition and how he managed to win the grand prize. So congratulations again, and We'll just get you set up.
Okay. One of the things I'd like to mention is we're always looking for people to submit suggestions for problems for future competitions. So if you have anything you think might be interesting, particularly in a specific domain you may be working in, please send us your ideas and we'll try and incorporate them into future competitions. Thank you.